An incident occurred during one of our live broadcasts, and we'd like to thank the fan base for pointing out any offensive and outdated language used in our live show after the FA Cup match yesterday. During live shows, we are often performing a multitude of tasks at the same time while speaking with other fans who wish to come on and appear on the show. And whilst this is no excuse, it's not always possible to fully digest everything that is said by those who come onto the live show in that moment. Talking Town celebrates diversity. And when this was brought to our attention, we immediately took the step of reviewing and editing the video. And of course, we would like to apologize for any offense caused. Now, Matt, you've worked on equality and inclusion projects over the years. So your expertise here is vital.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the great privilege when I worked at both Soho Square and Wembley at the FA to work with Brendan Batson and the late, great Cyril Regis, who, Rich, you'll remember, 2 of the 3 degrees that Ron Atkinson called them at West Bromwich Albion, Laurie Cunningham being the 3rd. And they were kind of like the first 3 black players to sort of be regular in the first 11 of any club in the Football League at the time. And, it was a real education and privilege to work with Brendan and Cyril. And, we did events with England under 21s where Harry Kane was in the audience of that and Raheem Sterling was in that. And we spoke about the Kick It Out initiative that people would have seen yearly that comes through, in football. And they would always say, we can only make things better if we educate people. And that's exactly what we've tried to do with Colin. We know Colin's not racist. He was describing an incident of a play that he didn't know. He's used a clumsy descriptive term. Isn't acceptable anymore in 2023. The irony being, though, if you go back on Ipswich Town programmes of previous year, where they're actually supporting the anti-racism agenda in the 70s and the 80s, actually use those terms. That shows you how language has changed over the last 30 to 40 years. So we've spoken to Colin, we've educated Colin, which is exactly what Cyril and Brendan would have advocated. And Colin is grateful for that information. And as you like to say, Martin, every day is sometimes a learning day, isn't it? Let's bring Colin in. Look, we know Colin is well respected in the Talking Town community and across the Ipswich Town community. And, Colin, we spoke last night and you were grateful for the information that we discussed in our 15, 20-minute call. And I know you've penned something that you would like to say to the Talking Town community and the Ipswich fan base at large, haven't you?
Yeah, Matt. Thank you very much for that. And you're quite right. In the short while I was spoken this morning, I've become more educated in what to or what not to say. And I just got a short message just to say this morning, this afternoon. Hi everyone. It's been brought to my attention that some people may have been upset by my comments on the aftermatch show on Town Wham Bam podcast yesterday afternoon. Obviously, it was never my intention to say anything that may cause harm or that may cause harm or offence to anybody at all. And I would like to apologise to anyone if this was the case. Regards, Colin.
Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Sunday Talking Town following an FA Cup 3rd round victory, gentlemen. They are rare. Incredibly rare, and not only was it a victory, but it was a demolition. I've titled the show "Wham Bam Thank You, Cam," because he ran the show. Let's be honest. But we're here. It's Sunday. It's 13:56. Drop a like, drop a subscribe. How are we, gentlemen? Are we excited for the 4th round?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially after yesterday. Who saw that coming, Rich? The 4-1.
Well, look. They made one change. I was reading this morning. I listened to was it Matt Taylor, their manager, come from Exeter, didn't he?
And, I don't know who the manager was. Is he a caretaker?
No, he was Exeter. He was Exeter's manager who got them promoted, Martin, and he's obviously taken over from Paul Warne. And
Well, yeah.
Look, they made one
He
change.
can't be there long though, surely. Like it sort of smelt of a managerial change at one point. It was like, this is not going well.
They've obviously gone from Paul Warne, who, look, we chatted about this yesterday, didn't we, Matt, when they came down last season and beat us 2-0. Now, from yesterday, going back to last season, we've massively improved. And that's not a Rotherham team that I recognise from sort of what they were, because they were all hard to beat, weren't they? You know, they were big, they were strong, they were physical. And yesterday they weren't. You know, they weren't. So, look, you can only beat what's in front of you. They've got injuries, whatever. And, but we played really well. And, look, I think they got off lightly before. It could have been more. Edwards came on it. The post had another one. Didn't he just stretch in? And we've had numerous chances. We got 2 penalties in a game. The referee was really good yesterday, I thought, guys. I thought he had a good game.
He was all right, yeah.
That in his post-match, he was being a little bit sarcastic. When I think, like, with what happened at Lincoln.
What did he say? What did he say?
Just like doing the right thing and sort of obviously holding in the air. Look, I think sometimes, obviously, he's been at Man United. He wasn't there when Sir Alex was there, but Sir Alex was quite cute in that way, I think, when he'd come out and he would criticise a referee, but then he'd sort of get in the referee's head when I think, like, the next game's coming up, Matt. I think these referees obviously listen to Fergie whinging, and then it's that psychological, he's sort of trying to mind games thing a little bit, and maybe Kieran used a little bit of that.
Yeah, great, yeah.
At what point does he's been at Man United turn into he's been at Dortmund?
yeah.
He's been at Man United, big clubs.
We said like pre-match, didn't we, mate, on the show, it would be a good test. We weren't really sure what the Rotherham side was going to be like at the time.
Change in the end.
Yeah, one change. It'd be a really good test to see how this Ipswich side, not quite our 18, but would compare against the Championship side. And 4-1 shows you pretty good. So yeah, great. I just hope we get that draw that everyone would hope to see. You know, like a Man City at home or away. Or I see a few people saying they wouldn't want to go to Spurs, but you can take 9 or 10,000 fans down now. That'd be
Pompey took 8,000 yesterday to Tottenham. Gave themselves a good account by all accounts, but it's got to be a home tie. Surely it's got to be a tie at home with a big club.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
I've already swapped my shift for Oxford the week before, and it'd be very difficult for me if we get an away tie.
Away draw.
This is on telly.
Man United. If you got a big game, it would be particularly like Man United. The romance of McKenna and Man United playing well and Town playing well. But no, I'll probably get Wednesday another League One team or.
Grimsby.
I was talking to Ian Davis this morning. I was talking to Ian Davis, guys, obviously from the cricket show, and he's obviously he's up north. I said, "You're hoping for Fleetwood." He said, "Or Blackpool away." Obviously, Callie's in the chat. Callie was at Fleetwood yesterday.
He was.
Toto on the score sheet.
It's good. Very good header.
You've got Callie on Instagram. Some great pictures and great Instagram story. That's absolutely love seeing it. I was like, invite me next time, Callie.
Third round day, guys, isn't what it used to be, and I think it's a little bit sad. But I was watching Match of the Day last night. Some great games on there. We touched on it yesterday when we were chatting, Matt, about the use of VAR. Now, you referenced Chris was at the Chesterfield game.
He was, yeah.
Did you see the highlights?
I've not seen him yet, no.
So they're 3-2 down in injury time, and Brandon, is it Asante, the one they signed from Salford?
Yeah, Asante.
He's absolutely smashed someone in the face with his elbow about 30 seconds prior to him scoring the equaliser. Now, this is when you've got competition. You worked at the FA, Matt. You know a lot about the FA Cup. I don't think you should be having VAR at some grounds. Not being used at other grounds, because I think it was Sheffield Wednesday. They obviously great win against Newcastle. I think it was their first goal was offside. Windass, he's just offside. Now, if you got VAR, that's disallowed. So I don't see how you can have a competition using rules at one ground, rules at another ground. Because look, we could play Man United. We might draw Man U away. We might score a goal. We 1-0 up. We're all going mad. We got 9,000. Oh, look, his toenail was offside Ladapo. It's not given. At Portman Road, it'd be a goal. So I don't think that you should be having one rule for one and one rule for the other. I think that's
it's not a level.
Callie's open for Wolves away. Anyway, understandable.
Yeah, not level playing field, mine. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Party round Callie's if it's Wolves away.
Yeah.
TT
Samosas all around.
Yeah, TT house party. But Yeah, it's not. It can't be a level. It's not a level fair competition. You know, if you've got one able to benefit and one, it just doesn't. It doesn't sit right, sort of right with me that I guess because you know if you go somewhere next time and haven't got it and you could have won the game, but somebody went somewhere and they did have it and they did it.
Yeah.
You know, one team's in the draw and one team shouldn't be. Callie says, let's do it. Absolutely. Love it. Lee Anderson, Rotherham offside was a close call. I thought on first view and it was onside.
He had a great view.
He was
He was just offside.
That linesman, though, I don't think he had a clue. I think it was a pure...
It's a good guess if he's guessing.
Hey, if he's guessing, come do my lottery numbers, pal, because it was a great guess. But good finish from him, to be fair. I thought, you know, swept at home quite well.
Yeah.
That was the one time that he really broke on us, was it? Obviously, we had a corner and then he counter-attacked, and it would have been a good goal. He's obviously down that right-hand side for them, our left. But look, it wasn't a goal. Let's talk about the goals we scored.
Well, actually, that was 15, wasn't it? 15,000?
Yeah. What you would call a traditional Marcus Evans championship crowd.
And you got two tiers unopened. Either end.
Yeah. But that's what we would get under Mick, even less sometimes. You know, in the championship, wasn't it? So it was a good turnout for an FA Cup game, and Buchanan rewarded the fans with a fairly strong team. A couple of players I wouldn't be playing, and a couple of players, I'll be honest to you lads, I know I keep hearing from the chat and from the Discord and all that sort of jazz, players can get injured in training. Connor Chaplin for me would be red bibbed. You can't touch him. You go within 5 yards of Connor Chaplin, you're doing 20 press ups. Like this guy, yeah. It's January. We just keep fit. You do not even breathe near the boy. You just say well and clear. You know, he gets the ball, he does what he wants with it because he's pivotal, Matt. Pivotal at the moment, Matt, for what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Even when he was under the weather against Lincoln and come off from the bench, he still put the ball in for Humphreys to score. It shows what he's like when he's not feeling 100%. Yeah, it was a bit of a risk, wasn't it? Because there's nothing worse than, you know, a cup competition and one of your pivotal players getting injured. We've been bitten there already, haven't we? In
Marcus Harness,
God, he's managed to come back.
And Luco,
also in the same competition, 100%. So yeah, it was a bit of a risk yesterday, but he's come through it, and you know it's full sail against Plymouth next week.
It's momentum, though, Matt. And I spoke to you yesterday, and it's them vibes of '92 when we played Liverpool, didn't we? And we were playing well. Yeah. We got a big crowd. Obviously, that was on the telly, both games, and it's the momentum that a cup run can give you. Look, today, I think we're all talking about a Big Six team, probably away on the road. Give us a home tie that we can win. You know, I think I'll be more than happy if we got Boreham Wood or Accrington and Stanley at Portman Road. I know it wouldn't excite everybody, but it's another game that you can win. You can get into the fifth round. I think we made, was it over 100 grand yesterday? I think, is that for getting through the third round?
Yeah.
So, look, it all adds up. And yesterday, obviously, it was nice to play well. You've got two players. We all see George Hurst sitting there, and someone's on Twitter telling me, yeah, but his girlfriend supports Town. Well, hang on. He's not going to be sitting in the director's box in full view. And
apparently supports Darren. He still didn't come in the summer.
apparently
Broadhead was there as well. We didn't see him, but look, it's good that we played really well, and they've seen Town play a team from a higher division and pretty much take them to the cleaners.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're a poor side, Rotherham, but if that's the bottom half of the championship's quality, three.
Yeah,
you're not a million. So I think from when the draw was made, fans said this would be a good test to see where we are. And I think actually, they've pre-improved. They've improved right because
we weren't even full strength really because you didn't have Morsey in there, did you? You didn't have Walton in goal. I think. I think it was one of the best games at Portman Road this season in terms of even though we've only got half the stadium full, in terms of atmosphere and.
No pressure.
Enjoying it. Yeah, you said that beforehand, didn't you, Martin? It was almost like a no pressure game.
Just touching on atmosphere, I said to you, didn't I? The drum yesterday was in the middle of the North Stand. Now, this is where it should be. I know Nathan, he's a great guy. This is where it should be all of the time. In the middle of the stand, and you get both sides going. When it's over in Section 6, Martin, I think that they do some great stuff, great displays and blue action and all that, but it needs to be in the centre of the stand. And I thought for 15,000 yesterday, I thought it was quite a decent atmosphere.
You Yeah, build him a little platform. You know, it's like some of the American stadiums.
Like Norwich behind the
Oh no. He wants we want Nathan to see the game. Obviously, I mean, if you're a Norwich fan, you want to see it at this moment anyway. So he's probably done that. There's probably 1 million of volunteers to do the Norwich drum at this point.
He makes a really good point there. We touched on this yesterday. Less tippy tappy.
It was, yeah.
Diagonals.
I can't find the passing stats for yesterday, but it seemed to me I would say it was much less than the 600 passes I've been lamenting.
I think it helped. It helped that Rotherham come to play. They didn't really come to spoil.
Yeah, true.
They probably thought, right, win or lose, whatever, what will be, which is sort of my sort of take. You know, I didn't want to draw yesterday. You either win the game or lose the game.
You've got Wembley chant ringing around Portman Road.
We will touch on Plymouth. I think that'll probably be a similar game. They'll come and play football. And when teams come and play football, we know that 95% of the time we are better than a lot of teams.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
there you go. Yeah. When these teams come and sit in and they make it difficult, they get everyone behind the ball, that's when it's a little bit harder.
You're talking about putting the drummer on like a little platform or something. You ever seen that guy who's at Portland Timbers in the MLS? He got that huge log. When they score, he gets the chainsaw out, cuts a piece off.
We're missing a trick by not having an actual Suffolk Punch lead the teams out every week. You know, like American football, and they've got the Denver Broncos, and the horse gallops out and around the. I mean, you're not cleaning up horse shit off the pitch before the game. Are you doing it right? I don't quite think you are.
You're right when you get that Deso pitch. You won't want a big horse going on that pitch because it cuts up badly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's an awful state.
And that's where we sat yesterday, isn't it? And horrendous where them players warm up and in that corner there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, so, but I heard a bit of Alan Lee's comments on, I think the show called Live for Pitch yesterday on Suffolk driving in. Only a couple because I was flipping through stations trying to find decent music. But he said something about, you know, as a striker, it's sometimes difficult when, you know, the diagonal ball doesn't come early enough or the pass is not released. You have to sort of settle, reset, something along those sort of lines. And I think he was spot on. And yesterday, I think we were quicker in moving through the lines, you know, whether that would be Keogh, who obviously I criticised post game, and I criticise again now. I think he's got a mistake in him every 20 minutes, but he is a great diagonal passer. And a couple of times it was a diagonal, a header into the Zappo's feet, and away Town went. And we don't seen that this year, really, have we? As such, Wolverhampton will step into the midfield, but no real diagonal balls to get it forward quickly, Rich.
No, absolutely. And like yeah, you're absolutely right. And I just feel like we got the ball through quickest. I don't know what you thought, Rich, but maybe was that Humphreys playing such a good...
I was going to say, Cameron Humphreys, when he gets on the ball, he always looks to play forward, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Every time. I loved him yesterday. You know, the goal, we spoke about the goal. That was very similar to the one against Colchester. He's been... Look, great interview. You said before, Matt, he speaks so well for someone of such young years. And I liked is there was a stage there in the second half. He was the one getting the players going. I see him clapping, cajoling people. I'm thinking, this lad's 19. He's 19 years of age, and he's the one getting us going. And look, he was excellent. I know Colin gave him a 10 yesterday. Mike's give him a 10. Look, he was so good. It was great to see that he got a goal. Not afraid to put his foot in, and he's just gonna get better and better. And there's gonna come a time, and I might want him in the team now.
I'm with him.
Where can we get him in? Because Evans and Morsey will play, and I think that's the right thing. But I don't think he just has to play in that too. He is good enough.
You're not taking Chapman now, though, are you? So he's got to.
He's good enough to play maybe where a Harness plays. He can play in there. He's good enough.
Is there, just as a side, I say playing goal jokingly, but has there ever been a rush goalkeeper where, you know, the goalie was famous for sort of coming out and...
No, only in the school playground.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I mean, we
are
innovative at Portman Road, so...
Remember the scorpion kicks, though? Rennie Higuita, he thought he could...
How many goals did he score? Can someone Google Rene Higuita and how many goals he scored? He was great at free kicks, wasn't he, Matt?
Very good. He's very good, yeah.
We know McKenna likes to be innovative. You know, innovative. Maybe this is the moment. You know, this is it. But no, jokes aside, he was absolutely immense yesterday. And when he got the goal, and about 20 minutes later, I maybe at half time, I thought to myself, this is a problem for McKenna because he's really making a case to start. He's immense today. We came on last week and rescued it.
Mm.
And if you go purely by stats, let's be brutally fair. Neither Lee Evans or Sam Morsey are untouchable if you look at pure stats. Now, obviously, they bring different qualities that are perhaps not stat tracked or whatever it might be. But Humphreys is getting goals. He's getting assists. He's probably creating big chances. I'll look at SofaScore in a second. He's making a real case, Matt. And, it's look over your shoulder time for Evans and Morsey, particularly for me, Lee Evans, because I've long wanted to see Sam Morsey back in that enforcer role, which I think he performs just so well in.
The role he was actually brought in for.
Yeah.
Originally. Yeah, and had that great debut against Doncaster, was it? When Lee Evans got the hat-trick. Yeah, you certainly saw the difference in the two games yesterday, between Rotherham and the Lincoln one, where, we were getting angry over the fact that we just couldn't get that ball forward, and it would go Morsey to Evans back, and then back to the centre halves, then back forward again. That's where the 600 passes comes from. When Humphreys comes deep to get the ball, as you say, Rich, he's looking to move that ball forward. He might pass it off to someone to his right. Then you get that diagonal in. It just seemed a little bit more. It just seemed that little bit more direct yesterday, and I feel that's why we had so much luck. I feel like that's probably why we got 2 penalties in actual fact. We had much more of the ball in the penalty box in dangerous spots, forcing Rotherham to make challenges. And I think that's been missing in some of our league games where,
it wasn't Iggy, it was Shilaway. That's the one.
That's
Paraguay.
The one. But I think time to time, Rich, and I've often said, look, I've preached patience. I've preached there's no need to rush this young man. He'll have a roller coaster of development. Every young player tends to. But time to time, there comes a time when a player is young and he comes through and he doesn't have the same development traits as other players. And he's making the case.
Tux's comment a little while ago, I think he's like saying it's his debut season. Yeah, look,
but that's the point. Sometimes a player like Mike,
he's got the right manager. He's got the right manager here, and he knows. He sees him every single day in training. He knows what he's doing, Kieran. We just need to trust McKenna. Look, I think he'll play some games, Humphrey. I think then he'll dip him in and out. Depends who we're playing. You wouldn't probably play him. So if you go to Bristol Rovers on a wet Tuesday night, he might not play in a game like that, and then it might be a home game when we're playing Accrington, and you might think, yeah, you can put him in today, but.
Did Port now though?
Let's just wait and see, and let's see what Kieran does. We can all have our ideas who should play.
But there comes a point.
Comes down to the manager.
Absolutely, but it comes a point as a manager, and I'm not linking him to these great players, but Michael Owen, Kieran Dyer, players that come through that you think patience, first season, all of the important things you should remember. That they say, actually, you know what? None of that applies to me because I am a talent that is ready now. And you have to have a case of, wow, he's ready. He's pure as that. Yeah. He's ready. For me, there's no more I need to see. I think he's ready, Matt.
No, I totally agree. I mean, that's why you've seen, he started yesterday against the Championship side. He's come off the bench, made a pivotal role. It's interesting to see how he's grown since that Colchester game in the League Cup at the start of the season, which we lost 1-0, and he had chances from the position that he scored from yesterday, which he put over the bar. So I just feel like, he's had more games probably than what was expected. And he's such an intelligent kid that he's learned and grown from that. And, and it's brilliant to see him blossoming. It's difficult to leave him out, isn't it? 2 goals in 2 games going into next week. I mean, it's a good headache for McKenna to have, isn't it?
It is. A great headache. A great headache for him to have. Absolutely, I agree with that. And I've seen Mike D and other people post in the Discord, etc., about the formation change about, Luongo or Taylor, whoever. Maybe there's a case for that. I'm not thinking he'll do that, Rich, but you have to.
I can't see Kieran playing free midfield. Look, he might do in certain games. He could bring someone on in certain games, but I think next Saturday, I think it'll be Evans and Morsey. I honestly do. I honestly think Howard, Evans and Morsey and Humphreys will be on the bench. And look, let's just
enjoy it.
Enjoy what we've got with him, because
agreed. I agree.
At the end of the day, we all know there's going to be scouts out there. They're going to be looking at him, and he might not be at Town for long. You know what Ashton's like with player trading, Martin. There's a player here who, I'm not saying now, but given a couple of years' time, if he progresses the way that we want him to and probably expect him, we could have a lot of money coming back into the team. Yeah, I don't want to sell him. I think he's a great player, but let's just enjoy him.
Yeah. ITK Bizler says 4-3-3 incoming. Make of that what you will. But
it's interesting to talk about Humphreys in that respect, because if you look at someone of similar age who's on loan at Gillingham, in Elkan Bagger. I feel sorry for him because Humphreys is riding this wave at the moment. He's playing in FA Cup games. He's scoring goals. He's part of this crescendo of optimism as we sit third. And poor old Bagger is at the bottom of League Two with Gillingham. For me, I'd
He's getting experience. You know, I've had to put the ball out back in it, I guess.
Want to be, around the side that's all intents and purposes could get relegated to the non-league. I would rather he came back and experienced what's happening that Cameron is experiencing at the moment.
I'd rather him stay and play. I'd rather him stay and play games each week. He's learning. We did say we spoke. Look, we can touch on Dobra. We can touch on Dobra. He went to Colchester.
Yeah, I know.
It's his comfort zone. It's too easy. Baggett's going there. I don't think anybody expected, Matt. It's hindsight, Harry hindsight. We said before, a wonderful thing. No one expected Gillingham to be propping up the Football League. I certainly didn't.
Exactly.
I thought they'd do quite well. But look at Dobra now that he's left town. Fantastic yesterday for Chesterfield.
The one that got away, maybe.
Again, that's a team that's at the top.
He's lost them armbands, Mike D. Dobra looks like he's lost them armbands.
Yeah. I would bring it back because I don't see how that's helping his development. Who knows what it's like behind the scenes there? It's a club not performing to the standards everyone thought. I'd bring him back and have him integrated into this. What we do.
AD says Baggett injured. He wasn't in the Gillingham squad yesterday.
I don't think they played today in the end. I think it was postponed.
They played Leicester, Matt.
They played Leicester. Did they? Did Leicester win a game? Did Leicester win a game of football?
1-0.
Fuck.
There you go.
Wow.
I thought they had a league. I thought they were supposed to have a League Two game yesterday.
I didn't think Leicester could win against the football these days. Is Brendan Rodgers still there?
Brendan Rodgers is still at Leicester.
How is he still there, man? Every time I look at the newspaper, every so often, it's always Leicester in absolute disarray. But there we go. Dagger, I'd bring him back. I'd bring him back.
Makes sense to me.
Particularly after seeing Richard Keogh again yesterday, where I'm sure he's a great. Well, I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he's a great professional. I'm sure he trains well. I'm sure all those wonderful things. But there's a little bit of Ivor and Gamarson about it.
Dominic Dean is a great comment there. He says he can't see Baggett playing for Town again if we go up.
Well, who knows? We haven't got a crystal ball.
I'll tell you one player who won't play for Town again. I'll put my neck on the line. Orion Darber will not play for Town again.
No,
that's really disappointing because he was League Two player, or Salford's League Two player of the year last year. He was probably ready to be that Keogh for me this year, where he could have stepped in, played cup games. Edmondson's form's dropped off. Do you bring in a natural left footer? If it is Burgess or is it in Darber, they can compete with each other. And then, of course, you've got to think, guys, with these loan players, we all rightly praise Kieran McKenna. Are they better served? This is the sort of the George Nunn thinking we hear from time to time, where are they better served working under McKenna week in, week out, day in, day out, the training, the methods, etc., or are they better going and get game experience? Which one is the greater development pathway?
It depends. Depends on the player, I suppose, Matt, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if you've got high hopes for someone like a Bagger, like I say, I mean, I would rather have him back at Town, or could he be loaned? He's not played for us this season, has he? He could actually get loaned out again in January. I just don't want him being around that kind of like Gillingham falling out of the Football League kind of culture that's happening down there at the moment. I think anyone who's working under McKenna is going to blossom, aren't they, as a young player? Look, we've seen it with Humphreys, we've seen it with Wolfenden. I feel sorry for Ndaba as well. I don't think that game in pre-season, was it the Crystal Palace one, where he was all over the shop? I don't think that helped his cause particularly. Or actually Raheem Harper's, because they were both shipped out a few weeks later. It's a hard one. I would like our young players to be within our system.
But we spoke about Humphreys on here, and I said he'd probably benefit from a loan move. But he's one who Kieran wanted to keep in and around the squad, and he benefited through them injuries.
Exactly.
Having that run of games and showing what a good player that he was. But I think now's the time. We've got Evans back. You've signed Luongo. Humphreys won't play every week. He's one of them ones you're going to dip him in and out of the team. He won't play every week. Just look after him. He can come on. He can change a game. He can score a goal. We see it Lincoln away. He played further forward. Great header. He has got 3 goals already. Sam Morty, some people said he'd get 10. Humphreys has got 3 already.
Exactly. That comes back down to the stats I was talking about 10, 15 minutes ago about pure stats. You look at it and you go, well, he's not a million miles away from people who, the person that says people say, "Oh, our best player," and he is, because he's leadership. But you can't obviously statify, or if that is even a word, I might have made that up. Statify leadership. There you go, new word for you, statify. But I wrote down a couple of players yesterday that I felt could probably be moved on. And
who are these players? You put in the WhatsApp group last night. I want to know.
You wouldn't be too surprised or disappointed. Richard Keogh is the first one. Now,
okay.
I expect him to probably transition.
We know why Keogh sits, don't we? Because he's mates with Lee Grant, and they've probably sorted him some kind of coaching role at the end of the season. Move quickly now before he goes off anywhere else.
Yeah, which is fine. George Edmondson, he's really dropped off.
Yeah,
and
I mean, you said that, Rich, yesterday, didn't we?
He had one there when he sort of fell over, didn't he? He sort of, the penalty, I think he sort of lost his foot in there, and then Keogh he got in a mess. But there was a couple of times Edmondson sort of, I don't know. Look, is he? I said it to you, Matt. Is he, since he had that ankle injury back in the last season? I don't think he's been the same player since he's come back in.
Yeah. He's lost something. Yeah, I know what you mean. I agree with you. His passing was terrible yesterday. I mean, there was one where he came out of. He didn't really have any great options either. He ended up just passing through the channel.
Out for a goal kick.
Out for a bloody goal kick. And we were like, yay. But I feel like there's been a funny dynamic over that injury, at the end of that season. And then when we won that game against Burton, and he didn't have a great game in that, and I think he was dropped, or he was certainly not playing in the next game. I don't think he's really. I don't know if he's been in the good book since. I don't know. It's a funny one.
If you watch the Papa John's game against Pompey when we played at home, he had an absolute nightmare that night. He couldn't pass to his own teammate. He's
not the fridge we had. And that, I don't know why. It could be a number of reasons. I mean, I play centre half, and sometimes the partner next year does impact your game. But that could be just me making an excuse for George. I just wouldn't, looking at the Championship, which we all want to get to, got to get there first. I can hear it screaming in my headphones now. But for me, if they said, and I'm playing pure fantasy football here, we're buying Aaron Cash in for Derby for a couple of million and George Edmondson, I wouldn't cry. I'd be delighted with it, because I think Aaron Cash in at Derby is one of the best defenders in the division, if not the division and the bottom half of the Championship, and he's got a real ability that could progress. Whereas George, for whatever reason, for me, just have we plateaued with his development?
Maybe. I mean, maybe that's why he's ended up at Ipswich in the first place, because he was at Rangers.
It was like when he played on that left side, wasn't it? He was a bit sort of fish out of water, and now obviously Burgess has come in, and he's not going to play the other side because Wolfenden's a shoe-in, isn't he? Unless he gets injured. So at the minute,
imagine a Wolfie cashing back too. Oh.
He just has to look. Edmondson just has to sit on the bench, train well every day, and when he's ready, well, there might be an injury, there could be a suspension somewhere.
Absolutely.
When he comes in, he has to grab the opportunity, because it's all about opportunity. And look, he's not in good form at the minute, but let's not write him off and say that he's a bad player, because there is a player in there. We know there is, because we've seen it before.
Guillotine Gov. Once I made a mind up, Raheem Harper Player of the Year. Once I make a mind up, we're coming down.
It might be why he's playing in League One with us, having moved from Rangers, did the loan at Derby, went back to Rangers, came to us. That could be the reason why. He's actually did what he's doing now at Rangers, and hence he's found himself back here.
We should ask Glasgow Griffin, because I'm sure he'll know what the situation was at Rangers. KVY yesterday, I was a bit disappointed with his performance.
Really?
I really was looking forward to seeing what KVY could do and really push JD and give me a proper credible option to JD at that right side. We spoke about JD previous weeks about, he's been a little bit lackadaisical, sloppy in defending, whatever it might be. And I thought KVY yesterday could really make a case. And for me, guys, no. JD's still head and shoulders above him. How did you see his performance?
Well, yeah, we were discussing this, weren't we, with Phil next to us, weren't we, Rich? Who'd you rather prefer in that right back slot? Would it be Danassian or Kane Vincent Young? Well, we went back to our normal, wasn't it? Kane Vincent Danassian. We'd like to merge the two players if we could. But I suppose. I mean, look, he won the penalty, didn't he? For the fourth goal.
He did.
He gets forward really well, doesn't he? Again, maybe his delivery not the best, but he's still not the same. Again, we talk about injuries impacting players. He's not really the player that we bought. Ironically, Rich, you noticed it, didn't you? That his other fullback companion when he was at Colchester, Colin Bramall, was on the left for Rotherham yesterday, wasn't he?
And he had a real hard time because Caden Jackson I thought he ran in pretty ragged in the first
My
half.
boy!
Not too much second half. I thought Caden was excellent.
Excellent.
If you look at the first goal, watch that back. He makes a great tackle to win the ball. I know he puts a great ball in for Cameron Humphreys, but he's won the ball back in the first place, Jackson. Vincent Young, look, I said it before on here. He'll never be the same player again. Too many injuries.
Yeah.
And he'll be one when we're promoted, I think they'll release him. Not good enough.
He was saying that midweek, was he? Where's that confidence suddenly come from?
I think you're probably right. I think we probably will. Now, whether Janoy will still be with Town if we get promoted remains to be seen. But certainly, we need someone with better attacking attributes. I think on that channel to
Jackson yesterday showed that's probably the role he plays a wide. He's not that number 9. I don't think he'll play there again now with hopefully these 2 signings coming in. But I thought, Jackson, you have to look. I know he's not a favourite to everybody, but when someone plays well, I think you have to give him credit. And I think yesterday, Caden works his arse off. And I thought in the first half, he's good. He put some good balls in. He's good on the assists. If you probably look back through his time at Town, he's probably got nearly as many assists, Matt, as he has got goals.
Yeah. I put that on Discord during the week, didn't I? When we were looking at her stats, Bond stats, and Jackson's stats last year. He does create goals. And I think, Matt, he's got the one thing that defenders dread, which is pace. Because you can't. Absolutely. If you haven't got it, you haven't got it. So you do not want to be in we've all seen Vincent Kompany's excellent training on Twitter, I'm sure, where he's teaching the defender out the byline's your best friend. You've got to be arm's length, anticipate the acceleration. But Caden Jackson, you can anticipate it all you like. He's fast, and defenders hate that. I was a defender. I hated it. I was slow as a dumpster truck. I hated it.
Absolutely. It's an absolute weapon. Look, they call it in boxing in the nicest possible sense. Speed kills. And exactly see the same in football. And if you have got that and you can, counter attack with that, brilliant. And they just didn't answer it. You'd have thought we were the championship side yesterday, wouldn't you? If you were just watching that as a neutral observer, you'd think you would have thought Jackson was the championship player. Such was his impact yesterday. Brilliant to see. You called him a wide. He was brought as a forward. Now he's a wide forward, and I think you're probably right in that. But as players develop or whatever it might be over time, or find more of a position on the pitch that suits their game, use those attributes. Can he? If he can step in for Burns, fantastic. He showed yesterday he could against the championship side. So again, that's another boat for the arrow, isn't it?
Yeah, and his best performances as a striker have always generally come as a 2 because he's able to play off the last shoulder, use the pace in behind, and that's why Norwood and Jackson for such a large period was successful because you had Norwood being the battering ram, winning the ball, flicking it on, and Jackson just on that last shoulder. And defenders at this level, they hate the pace.
Yeah, it's one of his games this season, isn't it? Like Rich, remember the Derby game when he anticipated the back pass from Davis and he was on there like a shot, wasn't he?
There's always these players. There's always a scapegoat, and he's probably the one at Town at the minute. Look, Mike's still moaning about him, and Mike won't give him any credit. Jackson could score 3 goals in a game. Mike just says he should score 5. Now, look, he's not a favourite of mine, but when he plays, like Colin says, when anyone pulls in that blue shirt, we want him to do well. And you have to admit yesterday that he done well. He put in a good shift. He's got an assist for a goal. I think sometimes we have to realise we are in League One. We're not in the Premier League. It's not watching Arnold Muir and Eric Gates. We're watching Caden Jackson and Freddie Ladapo, Because Ladapo, he's got people who doubt him. He's got 11 goals. He's got 11 goals, Freddie, now. And yesterday, Stephen Parry gave Ladapo man of the match. I don't think he was man of the match. I thought he had a really good game. And I said at the end, post-match, he's one of these confidence players, Matt. He got the penalty, obviously. Took his goal really well. It was really good. I don't know where the keeper's going, Martin. He's come for a wander out, hasn't he? But he's obviously gone around him. Freddie's got 11. Freddie will probably end up with what? He'll get close to 20 goals. And now I see that in the week there was an interview with him about signing other players because it's got to be when he went out on that pitch yesterday, he probably knew that George Hurst was sitting in the stands. He's gone out and showed Kieran yesterday, right, I've played well here. Pick me against Plymouth next week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He'll
but for
be
me,
jumping
it's always
that
about.
game.
I'm sorry, Matt.
Because his old club got booed down at home park, didn't they?
He did. But for me, it's always about getting him help, not about necessarily replacing Freddie. It's about getting him help. And I want somebody to come off the bench at 60, 65, 70, 75 that's going to make a difference, make an impact, and take the pressure off him. Because what you see at the moment for me is Freddie Ladapo being a League One striker, probably I haven't got the stats, this is pure off the top of my head, converting 1 in 3 chances, let's say. When you draw 1-1, as a fan, it's those 2 chances that you remember because you go, if he just converted that, would have been a win. Because the guys coming off the bench, I've said it before, they're not making an impact. They're not helping, in this case, Big Fred out in taking the pressure off him.
You were right, Rich. Yesterday, after he scored his goal yesterday, there was a real change in his body language. He took it brilliant. A great ball through from Edwards, by the way. The enigma that is Edwards, blows hot and cold. But it was a great ball through, and he surrounded the keeper and he took it. And you said, Rich, look at his body language now. He was much better. And, I was quite critical in the show in the week on Wednesday of his performance against Lincoln because I felt he was half asleep when he came from the bench. And he did come from the bench, didn't he, against Lincoln? He didn't look up for it, whatever it might be. And then yesterday, completely different player, and that's over the course of 2 games and a goal being scored. So, yeah.
I particularly like Ladapo in the same way I really like Caden. I think the man is a great guy. And look at Caden, he's had Paul Cook come in. He was obviously the Chelmsford team, which everyone dubbed what was it they dubbed those players that were being, was it the bomb squad or whatever it was?
Bomb squad, yeah.
He's
Taylor was down at Bury, wasn't he, when we went down there?
Exactly, yeah. He's kept his head down, he's worked hard, and he's still here, and he's now thriving, as a second option off that wide right position. McKenna's obviously seen something in him to convert him a little bit to that wide forward. And I think Ladapo, this year, he's had his critics, had his doubters. Obviously, has some of the chants, whether they were positive or negative at the Papa John's game. He's kept his head down. He's worked hard, and he's now getting the rewards. Now getting the benefits, and people are starting to see just how vital he is to the success that we've had over the course of the season.
And the fact that we've got to think that as we saw at the start of the season with more options from the bench, like when John Jules was with us. McKenna is going to tweak the side, isn't it? So one week, Ladapo will come out and Hurst will be in there, or Broadhead will be in there, wherever it might end up being. But yeah, again, it brings you that power from the bench as well, doesn't it?
But that won't be the drop off in levels, Matt. If he's got them 2 available, that it is when you play a Jackson there. I don't want to be disrespectful to Caden, but he's not a number 9 on his own. We've all seen it. He can play wide. But now, if you sign these 2 players, you're not going to have to use Jackson there. You've got Hurst, you've got Broadhead. Broadhead can play there. He can play, I think, on the left. He can play as a 10. So it's options. It's like I said earlier in the season, guys. It's that golf, having them different clubs in the bag. We're going to have these different clubs going in to I'd say it's the 3rd round of the Masters. It's not the 4th round yet. That's when the probably final. It's probably the 3rd round. We're going to be in there. We're in the pack, and then we'll come out.
We are. We absolutely are. Mark Tuxford. McKenna said there were other players in the stands yesterday. One of those was, in fact, Aaron Drennan. Unconfirmed rumour. Yesterday, obviously demolished the team. But as somebody said in the chat, Rotherham came to play, to their credit, as you'd expect, I suppose, for a championship side. Yeah. I really hope this is a rocket that straps, takes us back to the form that we were on previously to December, you could argue. Yeah. But there's a real issue at Plymouth at the moment. And I don't know how you address it, in the sense of when teams come with a high press or a mid press, if that's even a word, we're okay. We can cope. We generally do well. It's when teams come with a low block and say, okay, break us down. That's where we struggle. Now, teams are going to employ that a lot more. Like Plymouth this Saturday. I fully expect them to say, we haven't got to win this game. You're chasing us. So you come and beat us. Have we got it in our bag? Can we do it? Because, statistically, I would say probably not, guys.
I think they'll come play football.
But what do they benefit from that? When the stats tell you if you come and play football, you get
beating Town and going 10 points clear. That's what they benefit that through.
But if you draw, you're unmoved. If you manage to do what everyone else has done, Lincoln, sit in, get a goal.
For me, at this stage of the season, there's still 21 games to go. It's a long way. If they can beat Town and really lay down that marker, they'll be 10 points clear of us. I know we'll have a game in hand. I know, for me yesterday, I know people saying, 2 points drop for Plymouth. We've still got to go to Bolton, Martin. That's a hard place to go. They're a decent side. So Plymouth,
Everywhere's a hard place to go.
I know you don't like that, but them getting a draw there, I think that was a decent result. They've had the captain sent off, so obviously he's going to miss next Saturday's game. But I think they'll come and play football. Look, they're bringing over 2,000. I said to you yesterday, Matt, we've got to make it a horrible atmosphere. Don't be too nice next week. If you're going to the game and you're sitting near the pitch and a Plymouth player comes over, you've got the ball, fucking throw it at his head. There you go, mate. Give him a fucking gobful. We are too nice as a fan base. We have got to be in their faces next Saturday, on the pitch and in the stands. I don't want to see it quiet, everyone all little polite applause. We've all got to get down there. Yeah. We're all looking forward to the game. We've got to make it hostile. You know, can we do that in the stands? Maybe not, because it's sleepy Suffolk.
Like the atmosphere we've had when we played Norwich in the playoffs. That kind of atmosphere. That's what we need to see next week. Absolutely, because it's such a huge game. Interestingly to note that Plymouth, just looking out there, had 40% possession yesterday, less than 300 passes, and as Rob Holmes was saying there, it sounds like they did park the bus a little bit. So you could be right, Martin. But I mean, but you also say, Rich, they can play football. It's whether or not what kind of impact they can have without Whittaker. I guess it's going to be an interesting thing. But
if I knew teams at Portman Road have employed a certain way of playing and got a lot of success from it.
Yeah,
and I didn't have to win in the sense of I'm not chasing you, you're chasing me. I probably wouldn't. I probably would say, okay, let's employ that method. Without our captain. You know, if you go a goal down, of course you change. You revert back to what you know, and you go again. But I think certainly for the first 20, I'd say, well, can you do it? Are you good enough? Have you got the the metal to come and break us down and whatnot? Because they lose nothing with a draw. They lose nothing by winning 1-0 and playing really badly, because their fans will go, hey, brilliant, we won at Portman Road and we're now 10 clear. They do lose by getting beat in many other ways than the obvious. You know,
so do you think
that's a dangerous mentality? That's a dangerous mentality, coming in and just thinking, oh yeah,
this is the business end, my friend. This is we're now entering the
business end yet. With 21 games to go, the business end is about the last 6 or 7 games. Business end's not now, mine. We're in January.
Go 10 clear. You go 10 clear. You're 17 games left.
Yeah,
I've got a game in hand. Win that 7 points.
You get
what I'm taking it. How will Plymouth approach it? I mean, the blueprint, like you say, Martin, the blueprint is there. I mean, look, Oxford had a little bit of success when we were half asleep on Boxing Day, didn't they? In terms of coming forward, because easier taking the lead.
I agree with Lee. I agree with Lee in the chat there. It's a free hit for Plymouth. It's a free hit. Come and win the game. They go 10 clear. That's a massive incentive for them, surely.
Yeah. I suppose coming to park the bus a little bit would show nervousness on their side. They really got the confidence to think they could come to Portman Road and beat us. But you just do what you can over the 90 minutes, I guess, and come away. If you come away with a draw, you've come away with 1 more point than what you started with.
Absolutely, yeah. So, well, yeah. Time will tell.
21 games to go.
Norman says, interesting midfield battle on Saturday, Morsey versus Matete. I would have loved Matete at Portman Road.
I know you would, yeah. Big fan of this.
Disappointed that he's not
at Sunderland, didn't he? That one at Sunderland didn't hardly play. 7
games, I think, maybe in Championship, certainly.
Morsey was celebrating in his face like he was when we beat Fleetwood down here.
You can't be telling me on one hand to not look at George Hurst's Blackburn season, and then on the other hand telling me, he's only played 7 games or something.
We've got Evans, we've got Cameron Humphreys, we've got Luongo. Don't worry
about it. You didn't want to see Luongo yesterday because he didn't come on. I want to see him play.
Didn't he in the warm-up, Matt?
And
Sam Wilson had a great warm-up for someone who weren't going on, didn't he?
Yeah. We thought he was coming on. He was getting
away, hamstrings. I'm thinking, blimey.
Here he comes. Didn't even sit down. Yeah, absolutely.
He'll be chomping at the bit. Morsey will be chomping at the bit. He's had a week off. He'll be flying next Saturday. Get into him.
Lewis is right there. Got to play at pace. Makes such a difference. Absolutely. We saw that yesterday, didn't we? It was much quicker going forward, much better than this sort of laborious Spanish style, possession for the sake of possession, trying to carve out a opportunity that ends up in the stands. It was much more direct. I'm sure that's how we got those 2 penalties yesterday. Mindset was different.
Possibly. Anyway, anything else? I think we've chewed the fat for.
Who do we all want? Who do we all want in the draw?
Just so everyone knows, Rich worked out that Foz said the wrong information on the Town yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, Foz at the end of the game, the draw would be on Monday night. Hang on, newsflash, it's at 4:05 on Sunday. Ball number 32. Let's hope that it's luck. It's luck, isn't it? Let's hope we're lucky. Let's hope we're lucky and get a decent draw.
Yeah. Maybe at Portman Road against one of the big guns.
Either a winnable game at home or one of the big teams.
Yeah.
You know.
Something to look forward to. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Supporting your club. Something to look forward to.
Yeah. Imagine
I can't wait for next week, mate. Talking of that, I'm looking forward to next week against Plymouth. I can't wait for this game. Was this our biggest game since Norwich? I referenced earlier. Norwich in the playoffs that time. Just see what's at stake, you know, to be able to try and catch the title favourites.
In the week, McKenna will come out, and obviously whoever the player is, and they will trot out the line, Matt. It's just another game. They will say that, and probably for them it is. Are we over-egging it as fans? Possibly, but listen, this is a game where I think if we can win on Saturday, I think it's that momentum shift.
Momentum, yeah.
If we don't get a result, you'll see on the Sunday show, people will be negative. Oh, yeah, we're going to miss out. If we win, we'll be absolutely flying.
Yeah.
I think we will. And obviously, we've got another game now to make up the Accrington game. That'll be a Tuesday night, won't it? So that's obviously two. But I think, look, Sheffield Wednesday in the same boat as us. They won, they're through in the cup. So that's just how it goes. I'd rather be playing games and winning, which we did yesterday. I think we really needed that. I think we needed that sort of, not just to win the game yesterday, to win it well, didn't we? And it was great. We thought, great. A team above us 4-1. We put them to the sword. We played some good football, scored some goals. Subs looked fairly decent, I thought, yesterday, Gov, coming off the bench. But I thought it was it was an easier type of game for someone like Kyle Edwards, I think. I thought he'd done well, but the game was pretty open, wasn't it? He got
the
on the ball.
Stakes weren't quite so high, were they?
No.
Next week, the stakes are high. Yeah.
Massively. Can we cope with that expectation next week and pressure? Because we are under pressure. We are the home team, and everyone's expecting Town to get out of this division at the end of the season, and we'll all be massively disappointed if we don't. Whereas Plymouth, this is where Lee's right. It is probably a free hit for Plymouth. They're having a time of their lives, Plymouth Argyle. They're top of the league. They're beating everyone. They're beating the top 7 teams. But that pressure will flip round on them when it comes like 10 games to go, 8 games to go. At the minute, 21 games, you know. Yeah, fair enough. When that pressure kicks in March, April time, and we see last season with Plymouth, look how they dropped like a stone. Will that happen again? Will that happen again for them? We don't know. Can we cope with the pressure, Matt? Because we've said that before. The expectation on Town is massive. It's massive. But I think these signings we get, hopefully it's early this week, hopefully they're going to be that boost that we need, and just to give us that little extra, that push over the line off the bench, Martin, like you say, when you're making them subs. You know, we're going to have probably go back to where there's people sitting in the stands, Matt. You know, they're not everybody's going to be in.
Yes. Yeah.
That match day, what is it? 18 now. You know, there's going to be people. You're going to have to train well every day. You know, put it in and
the 2 new signings. If announced, the 2 new signings. Again, this is great timing and goes back to that pack out PR. The last game, which was, I think, or one of the games was that Sunderland one where McKenna had already been announced and sat in the stands and saw him go, and we saw, you know, a huge atmosphere for that. It's great timing because you're going to get 2 players that will hopefully, you know, really ignite the fan base as we count down to this huge game with Plymouth. And I just think that's that momentum of motivation, really, isn't that? As we come down to 3:00 on next Saturday, 2 new signings, buzzing after Rotherham. It's all set up really nicely. So the club, I mean, you know, it's good timing for the club, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, it's a full.
And this is why we love football, for games like Saturday coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, you're probably looking. It's Sunday now. We can't wait for it to be 3 p.m. next Saturday. We're all down at Portman Road. You know, we're there before the game at the statue. Let's hope when we come out about 10 to 5 that we're all absolutely bouncing. We've got 3 points, and then we can look ahead to the next games.
Goes back to what we said earlier, Reg. Gives everyone something to look forward to, because Ipswich fans in the Evans era weren't much to look forward to, was there? And now you see, you know, we're seeing it in a bit of abundance at the moment, which is great.
Still got to get the job done, though, Mike. Still got to get the job done, haven't we? For all the positives, around the club, and winning 3 games in the FA Cup, first time in the 4th round for 13 years, 3rd in the league. We've just dropped out that top 2. We've got to get ourselves back in it, haven't we? So Colin's gone 3-0 on Saturday. Blimey. Wouldn't that be great?
Brilliant.
It would. Yeah, it would. Right. Anything else before we depart, gentlemen?
No.
No.
That's it.
Love it. All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for watching Talking Town. We'll be back. I want my diary at some point this week. Maybe even today if there is a
Anyway,
signing.
all the best to Gov, because I probably won't
Yeah.
see you until next Saturday now, because obviously
Yeah.
we'll be at the game. All the best to you.
Yeah.
Anyone wants to get in my ticket draw? I don't know when you're going to draw it, Gov. Are you doing a show sometime in the week? I could draw it myself. I've got a
Wednesday, we're definitely doing a show.
Yeah, there you go. Wednesday night, Gov will do the draw. I think we've got 26 in it already. So if you're struggling to get a ticket, which I don't think there's many left, is it sold out already, Matt?
They do. Well, I know Mike Woods. Thank you, Mike, for our beers yesterday. Very kind.
Yeah, brilliant.
He still said there were some tickets available, but I think it's going to be at capacity, right? With this close, with less than a week to go. Yeah.
Well, let's wait and see. It should be sold out, I'd have thought. But Plymouth have sold out, apparently, says Stephen Perry. So.
2,000 coming down or coming across?
2,100, I think they got.
Yeah.
What a journey there, aren't they?
It's galore. Gov's going to go. We're going to park outside the way and get the cameras down there. Yeah, let's have some fun with the Plymouth fans.
Them bloody trains better be running next week.
Well,
get there early. If you're going to the game, if you're going to the game and driving, I mean, get there early.
Big time,
It's going to be busy. Norman
Okay,
Greenwood,
right.
what are you calling your baby Drinnen?
Aaron Lambert.
No. I can confirm live on the air.
That's not in the mix.
And that's never going to be in the mix. Nice name, Aaron. Don't get me wrong. Just Drinnen, the Drinnen bit. Aaron Drinnen Lambert. That doesn't quite roll on
Not
the
really.
But,
Raheem?
but anyway,
Raheem the Dream Lambert?
hey, Raheem the Dream. Yes. Now, I'm disappointed it's not worked out for him here, obviously. But particularly as I called him Player of the Year. So.
Yeah.
Well, we all make.
I shall have to live with that mistake, won't I?
Old. I'm still waiting for them 10 goals from Ken Vincent Young.
Well, we wait a long time.
Yeah, sadly.
Right. We're done. We're done. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Sundays, and we will catch up with you.
See everybody.
You make me smile when I think of you.